I didn't know there was a pending ferret ban in the state of California, which is why Pat Wright, who's the CEO of Ferrets Anonymous, is here. Pat, why are you anonymous?
Oh, this goes back a long ways. We've been in this for 35 years, and we were
Wow.
afraid. The police used to break doors down to confiscate
What?
ferrets.
No.
So there was a lot of fear in the ferret community. So when we started the organization, we used a community hall, and we were trying to figure out what to call the organization, and there was Narcotics Anonymous next room over. So we kept getting those people coming into our room wondering, how did they get, what's going on? And we were trying to name the organization, and somebody said, no, it's not Narcotics Anonymous, it's Ferrets Anonymous.
It's a
That
great name because, in fact, if you've been under fire for that long, you don't want to call attention to yourself other than to make your ferrets legal.
true, but people can't spell anonymous. So in
Oh,
the
great
age
point.
of the internet, we changed it to legalizeferrets.org. So it's Ferrets Anonymous, DBA, legalizeferrets.org.
Legalizeferrets.org. You're based in California,
I'm in San Diego.
and how many ferrets do you have?
I'm down to two, but they're most delightful.
Oh, marvelous. Yes, I've heard they're like potato chips. You can't have just one. Is that true or silly?
It depends who you live with. Bringing home any
Oh,
new ferrets
right.
creates a tremendous hassle.
With the other humans?
Yeah, with the other humans, truly. So a lot of big fights in this house over ferrets.
Because of the ferret odor? Or,
I don't think they smell. They are messy. We have downstairs a room because we're a little bit inland, so it gets very hot here. So it's very nice. The room is cool. It's all tiled. There's not much they can get into. Certain people will put their laundry away. It's all very happy, but they pee in the corners, and so we've actually the baseboard's been re-caulked so that
oh,
things don't get wet. And
what about, I'm just curious before we talk about the ban, which is obviously really important that everyone speak up against it because even people who don't have ferrets, let's say they're listening to the show and they have parrots or they have iguanas or they have beardies, like with anything that's banned, whether it's humans from other countries or of other colors,
oh,
animals, once you start allowing one kind of animal to be banned, it's a slippery slope, which to ferret lovers is less not my problem. My problem is I need my ferrets to be okay.
we opened a interesting chapter there because we've had these petitions in front of the Fish and Game Commission before, and they have said if we allow ferrets, then we're going to hear from the sugar glider people and the hedgehog people. And so I don't know anything about those two species.
That's right.
Occasionally, I get a rescue hedgehog, and I just
Oh,
pass them off. They roll up in a ball and have spines and growl at you. I don't understand the appeal. But no, it's just should be legal on their own merit. They are domestic, and domestic pets are legal per the state civil code, not constitutional civil code.
but so just for a second, do you know about this ferret bedding from Amanda? I mean, from Marshall's Pet that Amanda from Marshall told me about this made of recycled paper towels, so it's really healthy for them. But it's like a litter that's really good for. I know that ferrets pee can be pretty strong odored, and you don't want them to pee just anywhere. I'm just curious, just in terms of ferret management, since you're a pro at this, what do you do
No,
peeing
I
someplace outside of where you want them to?
you clean up. They train you very well. You get your bottle
Oh,
of cleaner and your rags and you clean
got
up
it.
with them. So,
Okay, that's fine. Rabbit people have that same issue. They have to
true.
clean up after their rabbits. Why would ferrets be in danger of being, you're saying for 35 years they've been threatening or actually taking away ferrets. Why?
Oh, that's a long story. Before the Fish and Game Commission used to be made up of people associated with the hunting
Okay,
mentality,
sure.
and they have been replaced by people with the HSUS and PETA. Both
Okay.
oppose ferret legalization for different reasons. Yeah, you just can't catch a break here. PETA calls it animal slavery. Yeah, so
Yeah.
all pets. So they don't want one more. But actually, we went through ChatGPT extensively and processed every piece of information, every last ban that they did, or every rejection of our petitions, the state law, a lot of research, and came up with a pretty good ironclad thing that, first of all, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that domestic ferrets are domestic animals.
Right.
And we have a lot of data, a lot of years, a lot of experience that they're not detrimental. And officially they are wild and detrimental in the state of California. They did no research, no hearings, nothing. They just lumped in 1931 or 1932 all mustelids are wild and detrimental. So when the pet trade came in and ferrets started going in as pets, most states did the research or just said, okay, they're legal. California really dug in their heels. And now with the Administrative Procedure Act, they didn't do it legally or somewhere. We didn't challenge it correctly after 35
Oh,
years. So now we have challenged it correctly, and they have to prove that ferrets are wild animals or detrimental. And there's nothing at all to support either of those arguments.
well, in fact, interestingly, Marshall Pet is the #1 ferret breeder in the country, and
Yes.
they breed them. They make them on this, put them on this planet for people to enjoy them in their homes. So there's nothing wild about them.
You
They're
know,
made, if you will, handmade.
yeah. And Marshall's has increased their docility over the generations. So they used to be really nippy. In fact, older ferret people would put their hand in a litter of ferrets and come up with a ferret on each finger. But
Oh,
now they're just like very sweet. They're
sweet.
not as intelligent, I think, because they used to be a lot more mischievous. They could open the cages and do all sorts of stuff that you didn't want. But now they're just sweet and I'm
That
sorry, otherwise useless.
that's so funny, but that would be true of almost all pets that we have. Useless,
Yeah.
except for that we get a kick out of them and we love them and they have a place in our heart. What can anybody else do to be supportive of legalizeferrets.org?
Okay, we made it through the first step. The Fish and Game Commission took our petition for regulation change and referred it to further study. So now it's at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. They are going to study it and make a recommendation. We hope they recommend that the Fish and Game, which is the commission, which is the rulemaking authority, go ahead and remove them from the prohibited species list. So if you go to legalizeferrets.org, there is a big thing about how you can contact right now the head of the Department of Fish and Wildlife and say that you support ferrets as domestic and legal animals.
Excellent. So I'm going to do that with Dr. Madonna Livingstone, who has talked about ferrets on the show a lot, has, I believe, 9 of them herself. She
Ooh,
happens to be, I think, Scottish and live in England, but she's written the textbook on exotic pets. And Dr. Doug Mader, who's my co-host on the show. And I would say by now I've met 10 exotic animal veterinarians through this show, all of whom I will send the link to and ask them
thank you.
not only do it themselves, but to have their clients do it. Clients who have any exotic animals, because I really do believe that once one animal is targeted, it isn't long before they'll say you can't have toads. I mean,
Oh,
again, you don't have toads, but there are people who have them. There's people who have all kinds of exotic animals, and this is what humans do. Humans develop affections for things, and we should be allowed to do that as long as we're humane with the animals. That's the only issue, right?
no, truly, if they were an invasive species, if they could get out there, look at the cat problem. People have their cats outside and they do all sorts of damage. Ferrets don't do that. Ferrets are strictly indoors. They won't survive outside.
Well,
So
I think legalizeferrets.org is where we're going to go.
thank
And
you.
I'm going to reach out to all these vets who've spent their lives learning how to look after these animals and keep them healthy and happy, as well as the people who own them. So thank you for your long and even long suffering
Mm.
stewardship of ferrets. Sometimes the suffering happens on the human end, like other humans don't fold their laundry, and then the ferrets.
That's entertaining, right? No, I've had my ferrets, the doors broken down, the ferrets confiscated, and the ferrets killed. So there's been a lot of trauma. Yeah, so
Seriously?
seriously, that
That
was
sounds
awful.
like China. There was that period of time, and it may still be ongoing, where it
Exactly.
came to people's doors and slaughtered their dogs and cats.
It's exactly the same thing.
Wow. Okay, so let's pay attention, folks. There, but for the grace of God, go. We can't really let the government make decisions about how we live our lives with our pets. They matter too much to us, and government entities have other agendas that they should be paying more attention to. I don't know, road paving. Thank you so much, Pat
That would
Wright,
be nice.
for you standing up for these darling animals. And let's hope that the threat can be removed. The storm cloud can be blown away.
We're getting a lot of support, and it's on legalizeferrets.org.
Yep.
So
And I
thank
will
you
put
very
a
much.
link and I will reach out to these other folks. Thank you so much.
Much appreciated.
So it's a pleasure. Take
Okay.
care. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Tracy. Bye bye.